Hey everyone, at Good News Home, it's Jesse. It is Friday, April 17th. It's about 1:30. I know we were trying to get online for a Zoom conference, but having some technical difficulty. So I may get a call back from you all and we can hook it up, but if not, then we'll start with this. I want to share some of the stuff that I was going to bring today, and I'll send it along to you. Hope everyone's doing all right. I've got some songs today that are collected. How would I describe this theme? They're all kind of connected around your identity being a little bit wounded. So these are not necessarily like sad, breakup songs or woe is me type songs, but just especially now that we're all stuck in this quarantine. And I know this week was hard for me. I found myself running up against some frustration and feeling like scattered between like trying to be productive and trying to be with my family and trying to take care of myself, and also trying to be empathetic and just feel thankful and lucky for what I have in light of what everyone else is going through, and send out some good hopes and prayers to everyone else. I just felt a little bit kind of not quite 100% myself, and some of these songs deal with that idea of like being connected and not necessarily always fitting together. So I'm going to share a few of them with you. First one is a video by a band called Black Dub. This band is a woman named Trixie Whitley, who is a singer. Her father, Chris Whitley, was a great kind of blues, roots and blues guitarist, slide guitarist, musician, and singer. And she's a singer, and her music takes different courses. So obviously there's some influence from her father, but she's her own person as well. So she's in this band, and the man who's the producer and also plays guitar, though not on this video, but plays guitar on this track, his name is Daniel Lanois. And he's a producer, a really interesting guy. He just makes cool choices with instruments and sounds. And you'll see him in this video kind of like, not really conducting, but kind of like producing the sound in the moment. Like he's kind of pointing and encouraging people and just, I don't know, helping them with the vibe or the atmosphere, I guess. It seems maybe a little bit silly to watch it, but if you to watch him, but if you put yourself in the position of like kind of like being there in the studio, you could imagine how this might be helpful to have someone kind of like egging you on, and then the drummer is a man named Brian Blade, who's actually most known as a jazz drummer, but as you're going to see, he's just a fantastic musician. He's really, really, he's got a great groove, like a great sense of time and beat. He's very exciting and dynamic. He comes from very soft up to very loud and back, and he has these kind of like little exciting crashes and spasms and things like that. He's also super sensitive, so he does get loud, but a lot of what he plays is very soft and understated. And he's played with a bunch of people sort of outside of the jazz world. He played with Joni Mitchell, the folk singer, for a while on some of her later records. And anyway, he's fantastic. So this is a video from a studio session they did, and the song is called I'd Rather Go Blind. And the tagline is, I'd rather go blind than feel misunderstood. So let's check out the song and listen to that and try to look for what it is that she's trying to share in that sentiment. She would rather be blind, which most of us think of as just something awful and debilitating, and certainly more difficult way to go through life than being misunderstood, meaning that just to not have her identity recognized and validated and feel like a whole person. So here is Trixie Whitley and Black Dub with I'd Rather Go Blind.
with my knife so dull. I kill it if I could, but only for the sake of this destruction or dysfunction, yeah. I'd rather go blind than be this misunderstood, yeah. I'd rather go blind than be this misunderstood, yeah.
Just wanted to point out a small thing, and it has to do with the production, meaning like the way the sounds, the music are put together. She's got what's called a slapback echo. Actually, you hear this a lot in a lot of Beatles songs, and you've probably heard it many times, even if you didn't know what it was called. One of my engineer friends introduced me to this, or explained it. I should say explained it to me. So the echo, instead of like, echo, 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 right? That's what's called a delay. When you sing something and it goes, hello, low, 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 low. It's an echo, and in music we call it a delay. There's also a reverb, and that's just the sound that makes you feel like you're in a big cave, right? And the sound is just reverberating big. The slapback is like, hello, low, how are you, you? It's literally just like one slap of your sound coming back. And so when she sings the chorus and she sings, I'd rather go blind, then she sings that the first time. It's in a register and it's at a volume where it really sticks out, and you can hear it. And it's sort of like, it's a small thing, but it sort of adds to the general, like the feel and the grit of this whole song. I want to rewind just a tiny bit, and then you'll hear that. Also, you'll see when they go to the chorus, the I'd rather go blind, you'll see that the drummer changes up his feel a little bit. And then afterwards, you'll see the producer go like this. And what he's saying is go to the head. The head means like the beginning of the song, the top of the form. So there'll be a little introduction again, and then they'll start the melody again. So listen for that slapback echo and that kind of style that it brings. And then also the change in style. And then also the going back to the head, the beginning part. Okay.
This destruction or dysfunction, yeah. I'd rather go blind than be this misunderstood, yeah. I'd rather go blind than be this misunderstood, yeah. Mama keeps on telling me you got the world in your hands, yeah. So much to give, child. All I want is to take some distance, and all I think is I know I should. I'd rather go blind than be this misunderstood, yeah. I'd rather go blind than be this misunderstood, yeah.
So again, when they go to the chorus the second time, Brian Blade on the drums goes to the hi-hat cymbals. Before he was just on the tom drums, the low ones, and he goes to the hi-hat cymbals, and it's a subtle, subtle thing, but you can hear him, those cymbals kind of open and close, so you hear like, and then here we have an interlude where this cello comes in. Now I don't see any cello on the video. My guess is that that was recorded later. So they recorded these instruments here along with the video, and then they took that tape back and they played it back and had a cellist with headphones, and they recorded that line over it. And that's a common thing too when you're recording, to combine live recording and what they call overdub. So the two or the three of them are together in the studio, and there's that feeling of being together and working together. And then afterwards, you might go back and add some more nuanced parts like this cello line, or sometimes you'll hear like background vocals. So let's go back and just check out that transition. And again, how smooth it is. It's this very smooth, but definite like increase in the intensity of the song.
And all I think is I know I should. I'd rather go blind than be this misunderstood. Yeah. I'd rather go blind than be this misunderstood. Yeah.
So for the first time in the song, you're hearing the cymbals, right? So this is waited a long time and showed a lot of restraint, and he's adding those in. And also you hear her sort of in a sustained upper register. So she's really hanging around there and singing this kind of like a post-chorus about I ain't no weakly child, right? She's asserting herself even further there. So after the cello, here we go into this last sort of extra chorusy type thing. All day long, running with all the despair. This humanity, a bunch of bloodsuckers. You see how they come out of that extra chorus section, he brings it right back down. And I'm sort of smiling a little bit because it's interesting how Brian Blade is reacting and being so receptive to the producer, Daniel Lanois, but also like he's kind of ignoring him a little bit too. Is this little bit like I see you, I know what you want, I'm getting to it thing. And I mean, it's such a personal, it's such a special, personal, tricky balance. But I think that's what makes things really, really shine, is like that Daniel Lanois is producing this song. So obviously, like, he and Trixie have talked about it at some length, like how much he should be involved, or she's working with him because she wants him to be involved. And he's trying to make her song stand out, and he's directing the drummer. And Brian Blade is like such a powerhouse drummer. Even though he plays understated, he's so strong that he's kind of like also knowing, he's trusting his own instincts and playing what he thinks the song needs. And it's like everybody's like trying to get to the same place. It's just interesting to watch like how much direction he takes or what it looks like. I mean, I wonder like how long he's been working with Daniel, the producer, to kind of like know like how much to take, how much not to. So I don't know. I just thought it was kind of cool. But this is a great coming out of this middle section, going back to the verse.
I ain't no weekly chance. Eating dirt all day long, running with all the despair. This humanity. see a bunch of bloodsuckers there. I'd rather go blind than be this misunderstood. Yeah. Rather go blind than be.
So he gives him one there. They're laughing about it. He's like, "Come on, like drop some bombs, drop some bombs." So he gives him a little cymbal hit there. Watch this.
A bunch of bloodsuckers there. I'd rather go blind than be this misunderstood. Yeah. Rather go blind than be this misunderstood. Yeah.
So you can hear there's some background vocals that they either recorded before or after, probably after this session, coming in the background. You can see now Brian's really like, he's like, see, I made you wait for it, but now you really appreciate it. And you're bringing in a little more heat on the drum set. It's pretty great watching it happen.
A brother knows I ain't no weeping child. Brother knows I ain't no weeping child. Brother knows I ain't no weeping child. Brother knows I ain't no weeping child.
Yeah! That's a nice take.
Anyway, so yeah, that's I'd Rather Go Blind with Trixie Whitley, Brian Blade on the drums, and Daniel Lanois, the producer, kind of moving things along. The band is called Black Dub. It's really cool. Let's move on to something totally different. What is that? Monty Python line. And now for something completely different. I want to move to an artist named Kokai. So this man's name is Carl Walker. He goes by the stage name Kokai. I found him because I was studying with some jazz musicians, and they had referenced this group. They had referenced this musician, Steve Coleman, who's a saxophone player and has a group, several groups, and they did a few nights of concert in Paris. And each night was a slightly different configuration of the band. One of the nights, the ones that I liked the best, was a group called Metrics, and it featured 3 freestyle rappers. And I know sometimes we think about freestyle as like, like these cute little segments that they run on like hip hop radio shows where someone comes in and they've got their phone and there'll be a beat and they'll kind of rhyme off the cuff for, 20, 30 seconds or so and switch back and forth. And I don't mean to make light of it. I mean, it's always difficult to do and some of it's really great. But these guys, these freestyle rappers, were just like, there were 3 of them and they were unreal. They would go and go and go, totally freestyle. There's no phones or notes or anything in front of them. And they were responding in the moment to all different kinds of musical things that would be thrown out there. So of the 3 of them, this guy Kokai, I followed a little more closely, and he's produced a lot of music on his own. And he lives in DC, so with some people that he knows either down there or I guess they could be anywhere. I shouldn't assume they're from DC. He is more of a singer and a songwriter than I had thought he was initially, just listening to the freestyle rap. And I've got a couple of his albums. This song that I wanted to play for you is called Part of It. And it's from one of his later albums. I think it's 2015. There is the style is obviously different, more of a hip hop soul kind of vibe to it. and there's some really nice variety in his singing. Some of it's really more like rapping and speaking, and some of it's more like catchy, like getting a hook. And then at the end, he sort of takes a almost like that extended chorus that Trixie Whitley just did. He takes like an even more outside the box move. So let's take a listen to Kokai, part of it. And the video that goes along with it is pretty sweet as well. Here it is.
Stay gold, pony, cause Johnny done earned his wings. Stay gold, homie, this is sped off in my Z. You gon' be slipping out the light, a 38 snubby when she wild for the night. And ain't shit funny, baby, you know the rest is just history. Yeah, fanfare in the pink parade. For the masquerade, yeah. 64 Impala, no Serengeti love. Gassed up task force, sure they always ready love. I got the lemons making lemonade. Why? All the parliament stones and all, yeah. The bombs are broken, watch them fall, yeah. And the streets is wide. It's the altar call.
I like that line where in the chorus he sings, "We're all part of it, stones and all. The boughs are broken, watch them fall." So I think of that nursery rhyme, you know, and if the bough breaks, the baby will fall, which is like actually terrifying, the idea of a baby falling out of a tree. But I think the like the sentiment is more that mama's there and someone's catching you. We're all part of it, stones and all. This idea that like it's not going to be a smooth ride, but we have to kind of stick together. And as he's telling the story, some of it's hard to keep track of, but it's talking about like the flaws and the pitfalls of going through, you know, everyday life. Yeah, let's keep going.
Sixpence and a pop. And the streets is watching. It's the altar call. The bombs are broken. All the parliament stones and all, yeah. The bombs are broken. Watch them fall, yeah. And the streets is watching. It's the altar call. Now it's sixpence and a pipe of drink. You gotta high beats, feed from the high mistake. A hypodermic in a spoon. Now let the meter say you will be the best. Use the honor, not it be your love. Jet life if you're not too clean. Hold my ladder, young. These drums ain't got much grip. They gotta shoot for you, but there's a face from all the beds. Cause when the
I love that line too. He says, hold the ladder, young," like youngster. These rungs ain't got a lot of grip. It's such a cool image and such a great way to distill that idea of, you know, everybody's like, climb the ladder, lift yourself up, you know, like you can do it, be the best you can. And all that is true in that it's a good system and a good way to believe in yourself and a good goal to have. But if you have a ladder where the rungs are all smoothed off, you don't have the same security and the same advantage and the same, you're not starting from the same place everyone else. And I think he's sort of referencing that, that, you know, like this has been a harder climb for either me or the protagonist in the story or whoever he's singing to than for some people. But I like that he asked the kid, to hold the ladder. Like usually we think of like grown-ups holding the ladder for the kids, and this idea of like we're family, we're all part of it. Just kind of a neat turn of phrase.
The top's inside, the ceiling gets lowered, and it's see-through. That's how they always wanted love, so you can play the same. Stones and all, yeah. Bottles are broken, watch them fall, and the streets is wide. It's the altar call. All the part of it, stones and all, yeah. The bottles are broken, watch them fall. And the streets is wide, yeah. It's the altar call.
It's such a beautiful shot too at the end. I mean, I hate not to be obviously like I'm all about music for music's sake and don't want to lean on the crutch of the video, but there's something so sweet about the ending to the story, that this kid who's been wandering the whole time, and you know, like you're watching him wander and you're not sure where he's going. This man is singing about, you know, the pitfalls of life, and here he's walking through this tunnel, and then at the end you find out that he's actually just been walking home the whole time. So I couldn't tell you if that's his real house and his real son or not, but I think it's a great song. Just the whole feel of it, like the feel of the drums are so they're like a little bit muted and a little bit softer, but very propulsive, and it's really just those two chords on the piano. And his voice is like, I mean, I don't even think that he would try to bill himself as the greatest singer, but his voice has a real like natural and kind of like joyous feel to it, uplifting kind of feel to it. So yeah, I just think, I think there's a lot going on in that song, and I definitely recommend checking him out some more. Let's move on to a piece of music that I do not have a video for. There are a couple of live recordings of this, but the sound quality was not as good, and so I thought for this one we'd just really focus on the audio. This guy, his name is Bobby Bare Jr. He's actually not, well, he's a little closer to where Trixie Whitley's style is, at least in that last piece. He's from Nashville. He's a real charismatic, very like down-to-earth kind of, you know, grubby and grimy, and doesn't give a damn if you care about that or not, kind of guy and performer. And he really just kind of leaves it all out there on the stage. He's very emotional and raw, and just like thick and syrupy and juicy in terms of the content and the delivery. This is a song of his called Don't Follow Me, I'm Lost. And I don't have the video, but I would like to show you some of the lyrics on screen, so I'll pull that up in a second. A couple of things to pay attention to. There's a little bit of a sing-songy quality to it. And there's almost a little bit of like, how do I describe it? It almost sounds a little bit of like a spoof like of one of these old kind of hokey type songs, like with the twang and all that. But it's not like, it's like there's like this little there's a little bit of twang and hokiness to it that kind of pulls you in, and then you realize it's actually like a super serious kind of song. And then at the end, if you're hang through that, you're rewarded with this like there's this real joyous part where they all just sing on la, and there's like a big kind of crescendo from the band. They sing la 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 la, but much better than that, because thankfully they're on stage, not me. So let's check that out. So this is Bobby Bare Jr. and the Young Criminals Starvation League Band singing Don't Follow Me, I'm Lost.
In my eyes and the blood on my shoes still don't tell me much of what I was trying to prove. I am too lazy to really get angry, and you're too sugar sweet to come along. Don't follow me, don't follow me, don't follow me, don't follow me, I am lost, whining quietly while at 10th and Bay, wondering why you ain't got nowhere to stay. You are too lazy.
I just want to pause for a second. So, you know, like it sets you up like for this sort of sappy, maybe sappy is a better word than hokey. It sets you up for this sort of sappy, you know, jilted love song with that gorgeous like kind of string intro with violins, and they're off, you know, reverb in the distance. And then this line, the spit in my eyes and the blood in my shoes still don't tell me much of what I was trying to prove. I mean, it's like so like ding 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 ding, like honky tonkin in the old saloon kind of thing. But the intention in his voice and the integrity of his voice, and then this sort of follow-up line, I'm too lazy to get angry and you're too sugar sweet to come along. There's something really like underhandedly beautiful and sensitive about it. Yeah, I just think it's so cool. I'm going to play it one more time from the beginning and we'll get into it. And I love the way he sings the chorus. He does this often too, where his voice is kind of like just at the breaking point, you know, like it's almost going to crack, like don't follow me. And there's like a little lilt in it, which I think he does on purpose. I think he sings, I mean, you know, they could lower this to an easier key for him. I think he wants it to sound kind of like right at the top of his emotional, he wants the vocal range to be at the top to mimic the emotional range. Let me start one more time and listen to that first verse and chorus. So we've got just acoustic guitar strumming and piano, and the piano almost sounds a tiny bit out of tune, like, not that they detuned it for the recording, but maybe they used a piano that was just kind of like in someone's living room kind of thing. I don't know. It's cool. I think it would sound weird if it was like a really beautifully perfect, pristine grand piano. This sounds kind of like a little bit like a clunky upright piano, but in a good way.
The spit in my eyes and the blood on my shoes still don't tell me much of what I was trying to prove. I am too lazy to really get angry, and you're too sugar sweet to come along. Don't follow me, don't follow me, don't follow me, don't follow me. I am lost, whining quietly while at 10th and A, wondering why you ain't got nowhere to stay.
Sorry, I'm going to be a music nerd. That lyric is wrong. It's supposed to be 10th and A, which is in the East Village in New York City. And I know, because I've been there. Anyway, it doesn't really make a difference for the song. I just thought I'd be a nerd and point that out. Let's go back to the second verse.
Don't follow me, I am lost, whining quietly while at 10th and A, wondering why you ain't got nowhere to stay. You are too lazy to really get angry. If you don't know where you are, you might be lost. So don't follow me, don't follow me.
I don't know exactly why, but that line, if you don't know where you are, you might be lost. That's like the dagger line. That's the line where it's like any little part of me that thought at the beginning of this song, like, who is this hillbilly singing about the spit in his eyes and getting angry? Like, that's when I realized, like, oh, I'm such a dummy. Like, I missed it. Like, this is a real song about real feelings that, like, if you don't know about, you will, you know. And we all have had that experience of being lost, either in a small sense of just kind of being a kid or not knowing where, you know, like you're taking a test or you don't know what's going on or you're confused, or, you know, anywhere from there up until, like, you know, just a real full emotional breakdown, being in difficult situation. You know, everybody's gone through things, and some of us have really been through awful situations. And that idea that you look around, you don't know where you are, either really, like, literally or metaphorically, you just don't know what you're doing, where you're going, who's your friend, who's not, you know. That's a huge emotional moment. And we've talked about this before, that musicians purposely hone in on feelings and moments and thoughts and that connect with their audience. And that's something that many people can connect with. So, you know, especially because the first time he says, I'm too lazy to get angry and you're too sugar sweet. This time he says, you're too lazy to get angry, and if you don't know where you are, you might be lost. So there's a whole flipped story to it there. And that line just kind of kills me. I'm going to play it again from the second verse, and then we'll go all the way through, because after the chorus, this instrumental, this la-la part is just like the coolest thing ever. So I want to go all the way through, and I promise not to interrupt that.
Quietly while at 10th and A, wondering why you ain't got nowhere to stay. You are too lazy to really get angry. don't know where you are, you might be lost. So don't follow me, don't follow me, don't follow me, don't follow me, I am lost.
Oh, what a great ending. I love the ending of that song. I love the way they all do the shout, the sort of literal shout out chorus with the laws, and then the big horn section comes in. And that's actually the first time we really hear the drums, going back to what we talked about with Trixie Whitley and Brian Blade. That the first time we hear the drums is when they sing la, 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 la. You just hear like a pounding on a bass drum. And then the drums come in a little bit more with a little bit more nuance around the kit for the horn parts and the horn solo. Anyway, Bobby Bare Jr. is great. He's super cool. He's got a bunch of records out. I highly recommend taking a look. Let's see. I'll pull up a quick picture. His father, Bobby Bare Sr., was also a musician. Let's see, share this with you here. So here we got some pics of Bobby Bare Jr. Right here, that's actually Bobby Bare Sr. and his son. They did this song together, which is a little goofy. And then he actually did it with his daughter later on. But I mean, this is a great shot of him. Let's see, this sort of like embodies what he's like on stage. This I was hoping to get it. Can I get it a little bigger? There we go. I mean, he's flowers, hippie flowers up and down, and his badass SG guitar, and his hair flying everywhere, and he's just like super dynamic and exciting. And so anyway, I recommend him for sure. I'm going to wrap up our session today with something a little bit different. April is Poetry Month, and I am not a poet, but I do enjoy poetry. I subscribe to Poetry Magazine, which is, let's see, here's April's. It's this little, tiny little, almost pocket-sized package that shows up every month. And it's like, I don't claim to be any kind of poetry scholar by far, but it's like this little package of words, and I enjoy the language of it. I enjoy like the story, and I try to read through it at least twice before the next month comes. Sometimes I get a little behind, but I'm having a little more time to do reading these days. So I found this poem. This is by a woman named Anais del Marquez. It seems to hint at the Mexican border, but I could be wrong, and I don't know for sure if she's Mexican American. But she lives in Minnesota, and she has this poem, Our Love on the Other Side of the Border. I just thought that it was a beautiful story, and also that it sort of like resonated a little bit with me in terms of like us all being inside now and being separated from other people. This idea of like what would have been or could have been. It has a sadness to it, but also this real romance. And so I thought I would just give this a read. I'm just going to look through it. There's a couple of words. Folklorico, I believe, is, or at a fandango is like dance, like a dance hang, a dance party. Mango with chili and lemon. Limon is a snack, or elote con queso is the Mexican corn with the cheese and the peppers on it. Atole is like a cozy kind of drink, and tamales are food, and ponche probably some kind of food also. Mercados, the markets, and the viejitas, so the old people, would give us a calmer pace. So the old people. I think that might be it. Oh, this one, I actually didn't know this word. Cohetes are rockets, little rockets. So, okay. Even if you're not a Spanish speaker, you'll certainly get the gist, but I'm just going to give this a read. This is Our Love on the Other Side of This Border. Our Love on the Other Side of This Border by Anais Del Marquez. Maybe I would have seen you trip over the steps in the patio in between classes. Or we would have met on the soccer field covered in mud, and you would have asked my name, that crooked smile spreading from your eyes to your mouth. Maybe I would have laughed. Maybe we would have had a nieve in the plaza, and you would have held my hand after folklorico or at a fandango where I was learning to dance faster than my adrenaline. Maybe you would have given me a bouquet of mango con chili y limon or elote con queso, and we'd count all the ways cohetes go off in this pueblo, and would walk the feria at night wrapped up in blankets drinking atole. Maybe we would have fought over the meaning of God. Maybe that danzón after drinking the Toritos would have made me cry. Maybe I would have broken your heart over a plate of tamales and ponche, or maybe you would have cut me off with a joke. But maybe this land would have been large enough for our hearts to grow. The sun would feel different on our skin, and the mercados with the viejitas would give a calmer place to our lives. Maybe our cuts would be different here, with enough medicina to move through salt water. Maybe our roots would allow our bones to be enough. Again, that's Our Love on the Other Side of This Border from Anais Del Marquez. It's in the April edition of Poetry Magazine from the Poetry Foundation. I believe you can access a lot of this online, even without a subscription. There's really a lot of nice resources, and often there are readings by the poems themselves and discussion. They have a lot of sort of like poem of the day type of thing, so you can check that out too. All right, that's going to do it for this session. I hope everybody is well. Thanks for joining me. Again, you've been listening to MusicWorks, and I'm Jesse Newman, the director of MusicWorks. We had I'd Rather Go Blind by Trixie Whitley and Black Dub. We had Don't Follow Me, I'm Lost by Bobby Bear Jr. and the Young Criminal Starvation League. We had Part of It by Kokai, aka Carl Walker, fantastic musician from DC. And we had a poem, Our Love on the Other Side of This Border by Anais Del Marquez. Everyone stay well, and we will talk to you soon.